I still remember the cold metal of that trash bin, the way it felt against my back as I leaned in, searching for anything that resembled food. A half-eaten sandwich, a bruised apple, even leftover coffee grounds, anything. Hunger is a strange thing. It doesn't just gnaw at your stomach. It claws at your dignity, rips through your pride, and leaves you standing in the shadows of those who never even look your way. Asterisk. My name is Malik. I was just 8 years old. The city moved fast around me like a film on fast forward, horns honking. People brushing past, designer shoes on clean sidewalks. Meanwhile, I was just trying to survive. Some days I cleaned windshields, other days I held open doors. But that morning changed everything. Asterisk, it was outside a cafe on Lincoln Street. The kind of place where the smell of roasted coffee drifts through warm glass windows. Where every plate costs more than I earned in a week. She was there, asterisk. I didn't know. Her name? Not yet. But her presence felt sharp-like. She didn't belong in the chaos around her. Black suit, straight blonde hair tucked neatly behind one ear. Red lipstick that didn't smudge. Her wheelchair matched her sharpness. Red, with silver rims, clean enough to reflect the morning sun. She looked alone. Her table had 2 croissants, one barely touched. A cappuccino sat steaming beside her phone. I hesitated, watching from across the street. My stomach growled. But I wasn't just hungry. I was tired of being invisible. Asterisk, so I crossed the street. "Ma'am," I said, my voice shaking. "If I push your wheelchair wherever you need to go, could I have the food you're not eating?" She looked at me. Not through me. At me. A pause, then a laugh. Not cruel, not mocking. Just ... surprised. Like I'd said something from another planet. Asterisk, "You want to push my wheelchair? For half a croissant?" I nodded. She tilted her head, studying me. Then she said something I didn't expect. "Sit." Asterisk, I froze. She gestured again. "Sit down, eat. Then we'll talk." And just like that, I was at her table. Asterisk, she told me her name was Claire. She was 35, corporate consultant from out of town visiting for a contract negotiation. Her legs hadn't worked since the accident. She didn't explain much. "Are you out here alone?" she asked, watching me chew like it was my first meal in days. Asterisk, my mom. She left, I said. My dad was never in the picture. I stay near the train station. Claire didn't say anything at first. She just looked at her. Hands pale, perfectly manicured. Hands that probably hadn't touched the dirt I knew so well. Then she asked, "Can you keep a secret?" I stopped chewing, nodded. She leaned in. Her voice dropped. "I'm being followed. And I don't know who to trust." I froze in my steps, clutching the half-eaten sandwich I'd just received from a kind stranger outside the cafe. The sounds of footsteps echoed a little too close behind me, steady, deliberate. I turned my head slightly, trying not to look panicked. A tall man in a dark coat stood across the street, pretending to tie his shoelace. But his eyes, they didn't blink. I tightened my grip on the plastic bag of leftover food. My mind raced. Why would someone follow a kid like me? What did I do? I ducked into a narrow alleyway between 2 buildings. My heart was hammering in my chest. The walls smelled of rust, trash, and old cigarettes. I crouched behind a stack of broken crates, barely breathing. Then I remembered something Claire had once said. Sometimes, the world sees more in you than you see in yourself. I didn't understand what she meant back then, but maybe now I did. Just hours before this, everything felt like it was finally turning around. After I offered to push Claire's wheelchair that rainy afternoon, I thought I'd just get a meal, maybe a warm smile. But instead, I found a woman who listened, who didn't flinch at the holes in my shoes or the dirt on my face. She took me to a small, cozy diner on 6th Street. Not fancy, but warm and clean. The people inside looked at me with curiosity, maybe even pity. But Claire didn't care. She ordered 2 plates of grilled chicken and mashed potatoes. Eat like it's the last meal of your life. She smiled, her voice hoarse but kind. For the first time in months, I felt human again. Fed, heard, seen. But now, just hours later, I was hiding in a shadow, afraid to step out. The man across the street was gone. Or maybe just moved. I took a deep breath and slipped out of the alley, keeping low. I needed to find Claire. She had said she lived in the red brick apartment building near the old train yard. I ran toward it, weaving through cars and open streets. But when I got there, she was gone. The apartment door was open. Lights off. Wheelchairs still parked beside the wall, like she left in a hurry. Something was off. There were papers on the floor. A coffee mug spilled. The TV screen was cracked. I stood frozen. Did someone break in? Did they take her? Then I saw it. A crumpled envelope on the floor with my name scrawled in shaky handwriting. Ethan. My hands trembled as I opened it. If you're reading this, it means they found me. Don't come looking. You're stronger than you know. Trust no one. Claire. Asterisk, my knees buckled. What was happening? Who was they? Why Claire? Everything about her had seemed normal. A lonely woman in a wheelchair, laughing off pain, and living on a modest pension, but clearly, there was more to her. Now I was caught in it. Asterisk, I remembered her story about her accident. How she said she was pushed in front of that car. I thought it was a metaphor for how life treated her. But now, was someone trying to silence her? Asterisk. And now, I, just a poor kid, had a target on my back. I went back to the alley near the diner to collect my backpack. But it was gone. Instead, there was a note pinned to the wall with a rusty nail. The boy knows. Bring him in? I staggered back. Asterisk. Who wrote that? How did they know where I'd be? Everything inside me wanted to scream, to run, to cry, but something stronger held me together. I needed to find Claire. I owed her that, but where to start? Asterisk. Remembered the tattoo on her wrist. I had noticed it while we were eating. A faded symbol, almost like a triangle with a sunburst in the middle. She had tried to hide it with her sleeve. Suddenly I realized I'd seen that symbol before. Asterisk there. Was a building in the old warehouse district with graffiti of the same triangle. Kids said it was where bad people met. But I had no choice. If Claire had ties there, or if the people who took her did. It was my only shot, so I went. Asterisk, the warehouse was cold and empty, but not silent. I could hear humming from inside, low, electric and mechanical, like servers or machines. I crept through a side entrance, heart pounding, eyes darting, dadding. And that's when I saw him. Asterisk, the same man who'd been following me earlier. He stood in front of a panel of monitors, all showing security feeds, and one of them showed me hours ago. Pushing Claire's wheelchair. They were watching us the whole time. Asterisk, before I could step back, his head turned. Welcome, Ethan. We've been expecting you. Welcome, Ethan. We've been expecting you. Those words didn't belong in a dusty old corridor under a broken restaurant. They belonged to nightmares, to secrets I was never meant to uncover. The voice came from a tall man standing just inside a door I hadn't noticed before. It was steel. Cold-looking, unmarked and slightly ajar. Like it had been opened just for me. I hesitated, but something deeper than fear, something curious, pulled me in as I stepped inside. Door hissed shut behind me, and everything changed. The room was nothing like the grime above. It was pristine. Fluorescent lights hummed. Overhead, glass walls surrounded a single long table. Around it sat men and women in suits, not the fancy kind, but the kind that looked government-issued. Asterisk 1. Woman tapped a tablet. Ethan Rivers, age 8, homeless. Last school, Edgewood Primary. Father deceased. Mother, whereabouts unknown. I froze. How did they know all that? Another man, older, silver hair, quiet power in his voice, leaned forward. You helped Claire? Claire, the woman in the wheelchair, the one I thought was. Just a stranger on the street. What is this place? I whispered. They didn't answer right away. Instead, they pressed a button, and the screen behind them flickered to life. It showed footage of me pushing Claire's wheelchair, but from angles I didn't even see anyone filming. "Who are you?" I asked again, louder this time. The silver-haired man stood. "We are part of something. Older than governments, Ethan. We watch, we record." And sometimes he looked at me with eyes that had seen too much. We intervene. That night, I didn't go back to the alley. They took me to a quiet room, like a hospital, but warmer. Claire came in. It's no longer in her wheelchair. She walked slowly, but confidently right up to me. She knelt down, eye level. I wasn't faking it, she said softly. I was injured. But I also needed to find someone pure, someone who helped, just to help. "Why?" I asked. "Why me?" Claire smiled. "Because someone once helped me. I promised if I ever had the chance, I'd pass it on." Over the next week, they told me things no child should probably hear. That Claire used to work with whistleblowers people who risked everything to expose hidden truths. That one of those people had vanished trying to uncover something, buried deep in the city's underworld, and that I somehow had wandered right into the center of it. The group watching me, they weren't spies. They were a shadow network of protectors, called the Mantle. And now, they wanted me. Not because I was smart, not because I was strong, asterisk, but because I cared. Even when no one was watching. You've seen the streets. Claire said one evening, "You know, suffering, it's what makes you dangerous to the people who profit off it." That sentence stayed with me, like a match lit in a dark tunnel. Asterisk, but just when I thought I'd found answers, everything collapsed. One night, alarms blared. Doors sealed. Claire burst into my room. We'd been compromised. Someone inside the Mantle betrayed us. My heart raced. "They're after you. Ethan, you weren't supposed to know what you know." She handed me a small flash drive. "Get this to the surface. To a man named Javier at the Trinity Diner. He'll know what to do." She paused. "I can't come with you. If they catch us together, we both go down." "Claire, no." She squeezed my shoulder. "You saved me once. Now let me return the favor." And with that, she pushed open a side door, one that led to the sewer tunnels beneath the city. I ran. The tunnels stank of rot and rust. Rats scattered at my footsteps. My breath echoed every few minutes. I thought I heard someone behind me, but I couldn't stop. By the time I reached the surface, it was nearly dawn. The streets were quiet. I found the Trinity Diner just where Claire said it would be. A small place, neon sign, flickering. Inside, a man in his 50s, sipped coffee, eyes sharp. "Javier," I whispered. He nodded slowly, and then everything went dark. I woke up tied to a chair, not in the diner, not in the city. A warehouse, cold, empty, silent, across from me. Was the silver-haired man? "You should have stayed underground," he said quietly. I stared at him. "Why?" I asked. "What's on the drive?" He sighed. "Too much, Ethan. Too much for someone your age. But you were never meant to live that long anyway." He raised a hand, and I heard footsteps behind me. But then, gunshot silence. The ropes around me loosened. I turned. Javier covered in blood, breathing hard, but alive. "We don't have much time," he growled. "Claire's dead. But she bought you this moment. Let's make it count." He handed me the drive. "Are you ready to change the world, kid?" And as I stared at the door, knowing it led to a future I couldn't possibly understand, I whispered yes. But even then a question haunted me. If truth is so powerful, ... why are so many willing to kill for silence? To be continued, ... Run. Now, the voice came from behind the curtain, sharp, urgent. My breath caught in my throat as I turned to see Claire, still bruised and fragile, peeking through a crack in the door. Eyes met mine, and for the first time in days, they weren't filled with pain, they were filled with defiance. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed her hand and we ran. Through long, empty hallways lit by flickering fluorescent lights, past silent rooms and steel doors, through a warehouse basement that smelled like oil and decay. Asterisk, every step felt like thunder. In the silence, behind us, alarms suddenly wailed. Footsteps, yelling, flashlights flickering through the dark. Claire clutched my wrists tighter. "They'll erase you, Ethan. They did it to others. You'll vanish like you never existed." The secret they hid. We ducked into a service elevator. As it groaned downward, I finally choked out the question. "What is this place?" Claire whispered. "It's a conditioning center. They find kids like you poor alone, easily ignored. Then they test things. Psychological obedience, behavior manipulation, even empathy removal." She looked at me, eyes shimmering. "They started it as a military project years ago, then privatized it." I felt sick. "Why me?" Asterisk. She hesitated. "Because you resisted. That day on the street when you helped me. That wasn't part of their plan. They were watching. You were supposed to ignore me. But you didn't." My stomach twisted. That simple act changed everything. Freedom or a trap. The elevator hit the bottom. A rusted door creaked open, revealing a storm-drained tunnel beyond. Claire handed me a flashlight. "This leads to the old part of the city. If we make it there, we disappear." I looked at her. "You're coming, right?" Asterisk. She smiled weakly. "I can't. My legs. They never healed. But more than that, if I vanish, they'll come for others. People I love. I need to stay. Then you have to go." "Tell the world no," I said. "I'm not leaving you." She shook her head. "You already saved me. Now save yourself." And then the door slammed shut behind me. A city that forgot me emerged onto a rainy street just before dawn. I was covered in dirt and dried blood. No ID, no phone, no home. I wandered for hours. People passed me like I was invisible. Asterisk when I found a police. Station tried to speak. They didn't believe me. Said my story was too cinematic. Even the soup kitchen lady. She smiled, gave me bread and said, "You've got imagination, kid. You should write movies." No one believed me. No one remembered Claire. No one even remembered the old building. A final message, 3 days later. I found a note in my pocket. In Claire's handwriting, "Truth dies in silence, but not forever." It was taped to a flash drive. Inside footage, notes, blueprints, audio, all the things they tried to erase. I uploaded it all. To every site I could. It didn't go viral. It got removed again and again. But someone saw it. Someone always does. The warning that remains today: I live off the grid. I never use my real name. But I keep looking for survivors. For Claire. Sometimes I hear whispers. Other kids. Other stories. I know it wasn't just me. I wasn't the only one. And every time I see someone ignored on the street, every time a poor boy offers to help someone for food, I wonder, is someone watching him too? Is he the next piece in there? Twisted game? So I ask you, asterisk, what would you do if no one believed your truth? What if your humanity is the very thing they wanted to erase? And what if kindness, simple, honest kindness, was the only weapon you had left? Asterisk, because sometimes all it takes to shatter their system is a poor boy. It's offering to push a stranger's wheelchair and refusing to stop.